2K fans, my name is Allisteria, and today I'd like to bring a little video evidence to some of my complaints with this game. The reason we're watching Kevin Durant make comical shots with bad releases against my friend Boopa's Portland team is because I'd like to first provide some background as to what you're about to see, and quite frankly, I'm not a good video editor, and I'm using SHAREfactory off the PS4. So, before I go any further, I need to make sure everyone understands that I know people make crazy, ridiculous shots in this game. Crazy stuff happens all the time. They make shots even if they aren't exactly proficient in that specific facet of their game. But in my opinion, this really goes beyond that. I understand basketball isn't just stats, but in 2K, it's not so much the crazy, ridiculous, out-of-this-world plays, so much as it is the fundamental abilities of players not being realistically translated into this game. What we are shown by their individual stats and what happens on the court is not consistent, especially when considering the opponent's CPU AI. This is just as much of a concern for your teammate AI, but that's a video for another time. This is specifically looking at computer opponents and how they do not seem to follow any sort of logical system at all. So I don't mean that their skills from real life aren't accurately transcribed to the 2K attribute and tendency system. I mean that the computer is not bound by those attributes and tendencies, and this is a huge problem. So without further ado, Shabazz Muhammad just broke 2K for me. He's a 24-year-old 6'6" shooting guard / small forward who plays for the Timberwolves. And so when I first saw Shabazz playing against me on the T-Wolves on my Centers My career, I thought nothing of it. I knew he was a decent player, he could shoot a little, dunk, and that was really the extent of my knowledge. I didn't know much about him, so when he attempted his first fadeaway from the post, I thought nothing of it. He missed, and it was an easy board for me. It wasn't until he drilled the first one that I was like, whoa! So I decided to check his attributes, and sure enough, I saw a 52 post fadeaway. Well, whatever, it could happen. I've made threes with Giannis. He's got a 50 standing 3-point. Cool. It may happen. Game continues, and early into the third quarter, he hits another one. And this time, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So I decided to dig a little further and see what kind of logic I could gain by checking his tendencies. And this is what I found. He's a post-up tendency of 25, a post-back-down tendency of 15, a shoot from the post tendency at 25, a post-hook shot tendency of 65, and a post-fade right and post-fade left tendency of 0. Now, I don't really have an in-depth understanding of tendencies, but this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Sure, maybe 3 post-ups by him in succession, but backing down Macklemore 3 times in a row, and then nailing 2 out of 3 fadeaway jump shots from the post. Everything in this game would lead me to think and suspect that he would rarely, if ever, do this. Now ignore, if you will, the defense or lack thereof of the last 2 defensive sets by Macklemore. He's by no means a great defender, but I find this to be a little absurd. If DeAndre Jordan wanted to take 12-foot jump shots all game, the opposing teams would be in love. Yes, take them, DeAndre, do it. On a good day, he might even make one. So why wouldn't Ben expect with any sort of preparation that Shabazz would not only not take that shot, but most definitely not hit the shot when he attempted them? With the 0 tendency, again, he should not take the shot and he shouldn't make it. It doesn't matter what difficulty you're on, what team he is on, and at what point of the game. If he takes that shot 100 times, 5 times at the most, he should make it. But again, with no tendencies to take that shot, why would he take it 3 times in a row? I don't understand. It's really the little things like this that are ruining this game for me. He's got other skills. He can drive, he can dunk, he can shoot, but not post fadeaways. How is one supposed to make a logical game plan for an opponent when the opponent shoots and plays a style that the real player would not normally do? With a 0 tendency rating for post fadeaways and Shabazz decides to take that shot 3 consecutive times, okay, fine. But my team and I should be rewarded for recognizing that he is not efficient and not penalized because I guess we didn't block the shot or wasn't right in his grill. It's now impossible for me to know whether or not you can play off a man on defense because of things like this. I've had eerily similar situations in which Norris Cole is draining step back threes like Curry in the fourth multiple times. Or maybe it's PJ Hairston all of a sudden becoming LeBron, barreling into the lane and making and-ones. Or Tyreek suddenly becomes just a phenomenal mid-range and three-point scorer. It blows my mind when things like this happen. Players that do things that are totally out of character with what they do in real life, and yet your teammates are more inept than they were in NBA 2K12. And it happens again and again every game. It may be with a different player, but the result is the same. Out of character shots and tendencies that work in benefit of the computer only. And to me, it is no longer a coincidence. It simply cannot be. I've played this game since 2K12. I've watched as they slowly, piece by piece, dumb this game down in the most confounding ways. I remember being able to go back into the menus of 2K12 and look at character stats, and understanding when I could play off of a defender because I knew maybe he wasn't a good three-point scorer. Maybe I could double-team him because he was not a good passer. Maybe I could strip him on the shot because I knew he had bad handles. It isn't like that to me anymore. The computer still makes the play, and it still leaves me wondering what I did wrong and how he was able to, again and again, make these plays that one would assume he would never be able to make. Now, this is only one aspect of the overwhelming amount of small problems currently plaguing this game, and in my opinion, it's really hurting the chances that I'll pick up 2K17. It really just feels like the developers don't feel like creating any sort of actual computer AI, and instead just give them inflated stats to compensate. And it's getting worse. It may have something to do with their more complex ecosystems and chemistry and badges and tendencies all being mishmashed into a giant pile of, quite frankly, garbage decision-making and unfair computer advantages. It's a true shame, such an incredible foundation being neglected so blatantly. Alright, I'm sorry for turning this into more of a rant near the end, but hopefully I'm not the only one who feels this way. I'll see you guys next time.